But anyway, yes, did the psychodrama continue? Yes.
Well, talking about that, let me ask you something. As you told about empty chair. Well,
So here it is.
this is obviously an empty chair.
Mm-hmm.
So anything to do about that? This empty chair?
Yes. Who do I want in that empty chair?
Mm-hmm.
I think I want my father there.
Do you want your father?
Yeah, I want my father.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy.
Daddy.
I want Daddy there.
Can you be daddy for a moment?
Oh, okay. Hello, darling. Hello, Regina. I'm glad to see you all grown up. What can I do for you? But tell you that I'm sorry. I'm sorry you had to go through all this pain. I loved you, but I had Zerka that I loved. And I know that I hurt you. But I want you to know that I still loved you. You know, and where I am now, I can't tell you the words, but I hope you are able to still feel that I loved you and cared for you. And I just was involved in too many things. Okay. I hear you. Maybe it's in my head that I hear you, or if you really are in that chair, I want to touch you. I want to just sit in your lap one more time. Just hold me. I know that I'm a grown-up now, but you were my center of my life when I was growing up. No one could take your place. I'm sorry that you died, and I can't tell you that now. And Zerk and I have healed our relationship, and my mother's doing better. She's still in love with you too, you know that? My mother still loves you. She talks about you all the time. And you know, I found out, too late maybe, that you also had other muses. You had other women. Zerka was not the end of it. And that kind of made me sad. Because once I noticed that she was crying about that, she had tears in her eyes because you wanted to put a young woman, a young Vassar student, in the apartment that I was living in when I graduated from college. You wanted me to leave, and you wanted to put this woman in there. And Zerka had tears in her eyes. I think she was hurt. Okay, you know there was a healing. I don't know if you want to hear about that. So there was a healing. Florence, my mother, decided at one point, she didn't decide actually, it was Zerka who invited her. Zerka invited her to come to Beacon from where she was living in New York. And I was living on Long Island, so I picked her up and I said, would you agree with this? And my mother said, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I can do that. And I said, but she wants forgiveness. And my father, well, she wants forgiveness, Daddy. She wants to be forgiven for what happened and to share things with my mother that may be not so great for you to hear. So you know what? I got in the car. I got my mother there in the car, and we started the trip to Beacon, driving up there. And on the car radio, I had a CD of the Grieg's Piano Concerto, which my mother used to play. And as that was playing, she started to cry and then turned to me and said, "What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me?" she said. "What are you doing this for? Are you torturing me?" And I said, I smiled because I was happy I was torturing her, you know that, which is bad. Anyway, we drove up to Beacon and she calmed down and I said, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that." So Daddy, we got out of the car. I guess you don't know the story. You can, you're gone. Anyway, you're hearing it now. So we went into the house, we got into we knocked on the door of the little house in Beacon, which was still there, her home, which used to be her home. And Zerka answered the door, and Zerka had been working in the new office, and she invited my mother into the office, and of course, Zerka sat very straight, very strong, with her back straight, and invited my mother in, and my mother sat down across from her. And Zerka said to my mother, she put her hand on my mother and said, "I want to share with you what it was like for me to marry him, to break up the marriage, and how hard it was for me to do it, how painful it was. I almost left him because I didn't want to break up the marriage." And my mother just listened. My mother was being very polite. She nodded her head. She was being good, Daddy. She really was. She was amazing. You would have been amazed at the two of them. And Zerka basically said to her, "He hurt me too." My mother said, "What? He hurt you?" She said, "Yes. He was involved. He was interested in other women. He had lots of muses, a lot of women who probably had crushes on him. I'm not sure whether he really did anything with them, but he was distracted by that." And she said, "I found out about some of it." And she said, "I suffered from this too, not only you." So my mother looked at her and said, "Wow." And so they started talking more about their health, about their feelings, about me. And then they went outside, and Zerka said, and my mother said, "Let's take a picture together, all three of us." And the picture, I can show you, Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you the picture. There's the three of us together. And there was, outside the house in Beacon, this picture. And I don't think I've ever shown it to you. There we are. The three women. And the title of it is The Forgiveness. My mother's holding on to Zerka. I'm holding on to Zerka, and we're all smiling. And you know what, Daddy? After that, my mother and Zerka would talk about the medication they were taking for their bones. Because Zerka had broke her hip later on, and my mother had all kinds of trouble walking, and they would talk on the phone. It's amazing, isn't it? What life can bring. I'll leave it there with you. I'm sorry that I can't see you. You can't hold me with your warm hands. You can't feed me marzipan. I can't sit in your lap anymore. But I love you, and I think about you probably almost every day of my life. I think about you once. His answer? Well, I'm very far away. I'm not here, and, you know, it's hard for me. I'm old now, really old, and I can't imagine all of this. That's amazing. I look at the picture that you've shown me and it's like, or imagine that this happened. I know. I hurt Zerka too. Not only your mother. So, what can I say? I guess I'm sorry.
And what about the first psychodramatic family, doctor, that
Yes.
you did, and Regina was not?
was not in it. That's right. She was not in it. That was a mistake. That was a bad thing to do to her, and it hurt her. I mean, even though Zerka found out that she had beautiful voice, and she was taking piano lessons, and she was studying music, it was like she wasn't there. The piano was there, but she wasn't. Yes, he said that was very hurtful. That was very hurtful. That book was published. It was the first psychodramatic family, and was Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I know that. That was bad. So, I don't know. I'm sorry. We make mistakes. And this is what happens. It was hard. So, I need to put Zerka in the empty chair now. I'm going to stop for a second and take a breath.
Mm-hmm. So let's stop for a moment, if you want, and then we will come with
Yes. I'm just trying
with
to think where
Zerka.
to go. There's so much. There's so